Anna. My name is Rebecca Venice. I am an instructor here. I've been here, I think, since about 2009, but I've used Turnitin since 2003, I think. So a few classes. You'll actually get to see my whole Fresno City class list in a little while. So you're here for a basics for using Turnitin in your classrooms and with your assignments. You can use Turnitin for just about anything, whether it's a small assignment or something larger. You can use it for plagiarism checking, which is the original intention. However, I typically use it more as a grading tool. So I'll show you some of the ins and outs, some of the pluses and minuses of using it as a grading tool. And we'll talk a little bit about rubrics today, but really if you've never used it, if you don't know what it is, then this is your chance to play. So you should all be into your Canvas pages. If you have a sandbox, like I have a sandbox over here, you can play in your sandbox today. And that ensures that your students aren't going to be able to see what you're doing as you're doing it. If you don't have a sandbox, that's fine. I'm actually not going to be using my sandbox because I'm going to create something that my students are actually going to use. Like, I'm going to create one of their assignments. So I'm going to use my English 48A class, and this is not going to be specific to English. You can use it for anything. Science is not. I mean, you can use it for any assignment that you want. It actually will. It'll do a plagiarism checker on a PowerPoint as well, and PowerPoint type assignments. So you see all the good stuff. So if you don't have a sandbox, the thing you're going to want to do today is use a module that you haven't published yet. So from your Canvas course homepage, click over to modules. And find a module that you haven't used yet, so that's unpublished, or if you are using all of your modules that you have in there, you can create one with this little plus module up on the top right. Okay, and then you would just create. So go into a class and in the modules, and you can create a module. And you can lock it until the end of the semester. If it's in an active class that you're using, and so if it's not in a sandbox just make sure that it doesn't get published. Or just tell your students, label it, well, test module, or don't say test module. I don't know, give it some name so the students aren't gonna get worried that they have a big assignment coming up as you're playing around with it. So I have this module right here that's unpublished, and I need to create an assignment in there. So is everybody with me? Okay. I need to create an assignment, so I would create an assignment the same way in Canvas as I always do. So new assignment, and I'm going to name this one Essay 2. So all I've done is I've created an assignment in an unpublished module and add the item. So you can see it's down here in my module. And I'm following Kevin's good online teaching practices of putting everything in the modules so my students don't have to look around for stuff. If we're working on a particular section of the class, they know that everything is in the module, whether it's an assignment, a discussion, a link, everything's together. So I'm going to click on that assignment, and you can see it's got a lot of none, nothing link spots. And I'm going to edit. Editing my assignment, and I can put whatever I want in here. I can put the description of the assignment, I can put links to things, I can put photos, videos, I can do whatever I want in the body of this assignment, like I would normally for everything. I'm going to enter my points like I would a normal assignment. My assignment group, maybe I want a new group for essay 2. Display the grade as points. You can decide how you want the grade displayed. This is where we get to turn it in. This is the exciting part. Under no submission, or under the submission type, click, there's 2 ways you can do this. Canvas and Turnitin have a new partnership, so we don't have to use the external tool anymore. We can use it within Canvas. So just this semester, I switched over and I'm not using the external tool anymore. I'm using the online. So when you tell it the submission type to be online, you can do text entry, website URL, but if you click on File Uploads, no matter what kind of file upload, it could be a Google Doc, it could be a Word document. If you click on File Uploads, restrict the file upload types. You can put a list in there. The only thing that I found that Turnitin does not read is pages and a JPEG photo. It will read a PDF, it will read Google Docs, it will read OpenOffice. The only things it won't read that I found are pages and JPEG. Okay, so you can put a .docx or .docx PDF. What else? I don't know. I always tell them, honestly, I don't ever restrict the file upload type. If they turn in the wrong type of file that I can't read, I just email the student and say, I can't read this. Can you turn it in this other way? And I think I have one a semester that does that. And then under plagiarism review, click turn it in. And as soon as you click that, you get this new extended menu. So as soon as you click, so you're going to want, let me go back a little bit. Submission type is online, file upload. And then the plagiarism review is turn it in. And that automatically gives you a longer menu that you can choose from. So let's talk for a minute about what the different types of submissions are. So you can tell it to store submissions or not store submissions. So if you want it to run the thing through once for plagiarism checking and then don't store it, you can tell it to do that. But if you want it stored so that maybe next semester when you assign the same type of assignment, it'll come up that somebody else has already turned that in. I would say just standard paper repository. Yeah.
So let's say I want to run the drafts through there. I would say don't store it.
Nope, I store them.
You store even a draft.
Mm-hmm.
So
because if it's the same student in the same semester, it will not, there's a setting that you can tell it, and it will not compare the same student in the same semester. That's what I needed to know. Okay, thank you. Yeah. That's a little, I'll show you how to change that after.
Okay.
After that.
Okay.
But yeah, I have my students run a draft through that I don't even look at. I tell them, you put your draft through on Monday night, it's due Tuesday night, and the draft, that's your deal. You know what the plagiarism checker is going to come up with before I ever see it.
Yeah.
So that's your last chance to make those adjustments as needed.
So if I did say don't store it, it simply wouldn't store it. So
It's
when the
just
final draft came in, it would just catch a new.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, like if I have one student turn in a draft and then another version, I can tell it not to compare the two.
Where is that real quick?
Oh, it's
Deep.
It's
Okay.
deeper.
I put out a little bit
I'll show you.
I have to teach, but okay.
Okay, so I recommend standard paper repository. So you can tell it to look at other students' repositories, so other student submissions. You can tell it to look at anything in the web, anything online. So it basically runs kind of like a Google search for the entire paper. And I don't know about you, when I was in grad school, I was a TA, and the instructor would have me run a Google search on all the papers. And so I would have to pick and choose like a sentence here and there to put into the Google search bar to see if I could find it. Took forever. This does all that for you. Or even if there's been a couple semesters where I was like, no, I'm not gonna use it this semester. And then something happened and I got a little suspicious, and then it would take me hours to find this, to do those searches. This does it for you.
Right.
You can also check periodicals, journals, and other publications. So anything from databases to anything else that's available. So yours, whatever you click, you can play around and you're not gonna mess it up. Similarity report, if I've got a bibliography or if I've got a works cited page at the end, I can tell it to exclude that. I can tell it to exclude anything that's quoted. And I can tell it to exclude small sources, so maybe it's somebody's name that keeps, maybe it's popping up. And all of these you can change later too. I don't want it to exclude anything because I want to see everything flagged, and then if I just want to ignore it, I can ignore it. Yeah, it means that the originality, the percent originality is going to be higher, but I'm happy to go with a 24% originality report, whereas, and I'll show you what the 24% means in a few minutes. And then you can choose to enable or not enable the grammar checking ETS E-rater thing. This is an artificial intelligence grammar checking, punctuation checking, spelling checking tool. It's not always right. In fact, it's probably only right about 50% of the time.
That's the problem.
But it does, if there's something that's getting kind of flagged, or an area of a paper that's getting flagged frequently for this grammar checking, I tell my students, use that as one of your drafting tools. What it's telling you to do may not be actually correct, but it's telling you that there's a problem there. So use it as a kind of quick flag of, there's something going on here, and if there's a bunch of, it comes up purple. If there's a bunch of purple, then pay attention to it. And you can tell it which handbook you want it to use. So the US English Dictionary, UK English Dictionary, both US and UK, and then you can tell it which categories you want it to check. But again, it's artificial intelligence. Nobody's created a great artificial intelligence for doing grammar checking on computers. So things like Grammarly are sometimes a start, but they're not fantastic. And then if you like these settings, save them as your default, and every time you create a new assignment, it'll save these as the default. So this box right here, show report to students. I always show the reports to students immediately. Now when it says immediately, it takes about 5 minutes. So once a student submits something in there, it takes about 5 minutes to get the report back. I like them to see it. And that's kind of my philosophy, is I want them to be able to see the originality report, see what I'm seeing. You can have it wait till after the assignment's graded, or you can have it wait till after the due date. So they get one chance to turn it in. They can see the report after it's the due date, but not before. Or never show them the report. I always like to put it in their hands, so that if they messed up somewhere, or if they made a bad decision, and they know they're gonna get caught in the bad decision, I want them to know that, I want them to be able to fix it quickly. Yeah.
Is it set up so that students can automatically resubmit up to the deadline? Because I don't see any information in here
They
about
can
that.
resubmit up until the deadline. Yeah.
That's where it's not so punitive. Feedback
Right.
can be used instructionally for students.
Right. And when I have them, like when I intentionally have that, I give them a draft assignment and then I give them a final assignment. Otherwise it kind of gets clogged and I have multiple submissions for each student and I'm not sure which one they want me to grade.
a separate submission to
Mhm.
me.
I do them as totally separate
Yeah.
assignments. So I create a completely separate assignment for a draft so that they can run it through with no consequences once. And then, the final, the one that they want me to grade is the final.
When you say they get a report, are they just seeing the percentage? Or
Nope,
what are they
I'll show
getting?
you what the report looks like. So as I finish this out, I do my due dates, I assign it to everyone, you can differentiate, so if you have different sections of a class, you can do that. I'm gonna save and, oops, everybody. I'm gonna save this one. And then I'm gonna show you what it looks like on the teacher side. So I'm actually gonna go to a different class because that one doesn't have anything for me. So to go get my assignments to grade them, I put everything in the modules, so I'm gonna go back to the modules. And the assignment they did was this one that I haven't graded yet.
You can also go to the grade book, right?
No, not with with the external tool you could, but you can't go through the grade book with the embedded tool.
Wow.
So you go to SpeedGrader and you can see my friend Marlon. This is his assignment, but this over here on the right is his originality report.
Yikes.
But don't worry, it's not an essay. So this 43% that's in this little, I don't know, whatever color that is, that's his similarity score, his originality.
Shouldn't it be red?
It is
Not
sometimes,
green?
I think.
I think it's 50% is red.
Yeah.
Okay. So different percentages will come up with different things. This is the report that the student gets automatically.
Right.
So if Marlon were to open it today, this is what he sees. This is the nature of this assignment, it was gonna come up as 43% does not alarm me at all.
Oh, okay.
Simply because the nature of the assignment that he's doing, it's a short assignment and he's writing a summary. And it has a citation.
That happens with every one of my students.
So it's not an essay. If it was an essay, I would have a different, I would say 43% would be alarming, to say the least. Usually for an essay, I say no more than 10% quoted material in an essay. So an essay with a works cited page, about 25% is what I would expect.
I always get I don't want my work cited on there because it's almost always gonna
You
be
get rid of
matched to something. I do because it
Yeah.
discombobulates me. I wanna, be more.
Yeah, and so you can filter that off, and I'll show you how to filter it off in just a second. But like for Marlon, 43%, I'm not worried about it. I'm going to click that off so that I don't see the originality report filter. And maybe I click on the purple one, and he doesn't have anything that popped up for the grammar checker. If I click on this blue one, that's my instructor layer where I can start making comments. And I can drag and drop them. So if he's got an apostrophe missing, or if he's got
That saves you a lot of time.
maybe a weak transition, I can drag and drop those to the right places where that thing is happening in his document. And then when he opens it up, he can see exactly what's going on.
How did you make those?
So
I
these
can't
are,
remember. I have a bunch too, but I don't know how I did it.
these are quick marks. I can make there's a standard set that they'll have. But if you want to make your own, so maybe this one right here for hanging indent, actually that is a problem right there. Hanging indent is a problem that I kept finding that I was writing on everybody's paper. So I just made myself a little quick mark. Super easy. You click on something, you make a comment, and then I can convert it to a quick mark.
Got it. That's how.
And then it shows up on this right-hand side in my list. So you can see I've got 2 untitled ones up there. That means I accidentally clicked make it a quick mark. And I can just delete those really quick.
Thank you.
When I get to my
Did you say you right clicked?
no, I just clicked, you
Wherever
just
you
click
want.
anywhere you want in here, make a little comment, and then on the bottom, right here, it says convert to quick mark, and it populates it over here. So if you find that you're writing the same thing over and over, just make it a quick mark, and then you can drag and drop it. Yay! Saved me so much time, because when I write the same comment, you know, even if it's something, like this one's formatting, even if it's that maybe you're teaching a science class, and they didn't quite get the point of, I don't know, photosynthesis, and you find that you're having to re-explain photosynthesis multiple times, then just make a quick mark. Photosynthesis is this. And you can put links in here, like I could do, maybe there's a website that I want them to go to. I can put a link in there and create a quick mark, and so every time they see that comment, they have the link to where to find the information.
That's too cool.
And how did you bring this up? The check mark at the top of the toolbar right there?
This right here, so these are all layers. I can turn all of the layers on, or I can turn each one off individually.
Oh, grading
To
is the
make
check
the
mark. Okay.
quick mark. you
So
click
grading
that.
is the one that I want
Yeah.
to do the quick marks, and it's this little check mark guy.
Gotcha.
And when you add the website, is there a special way to add the link?
Link,
As long as you copy and paste it in
copy
there,
and
is
paste it
it
right there,
a live link then?
and click OK.
I think so. Well, you can send them like to Al Purdue if they're making the same
Yeah.
comma error or
That's what I was
whatever.
thinking.
Boom, there you go.
But a lot of these comma error things, like maybe it's a missing comma here. If they click on it,
Yeah,
it
it gives
actually
them
tells
all.
them why the comma is missing and what to do to fix it. So a lot of those grammar things are already loaded in here. There's some other menus, and they've added a ton of menu items for quick marks. So you can go in there, and I'm under commonly used, but I can do, science short answer. So there's a bunch of them that are already loaded. So adjust the task, check your evidence, connect ideas effectively, strong focus. So they've got positive comments in there too.
Yeah.
It's not all negative comments. So if you want to make a comment about the entire text of it, you can make a comment about the entire text. You can give them a link. You can leave a voice comment. And if you don't like it, you can trash it.
How long
Up
can
to
that
3
voice
minutes.
comment be?
Up to 3 minutes.
Up to 3 minutes, okay.
But it's not captioned, right?
It's not captioned, no. No, so I had a student in my class who was deaf a few semesters ago, and on her papers, I knew that she wanted more written text for explanations. So I just made sure she just got a ton of written material, where some of the other students, when we did conferencing, I could talk to them about it, but for her, she wanted the written, and that worked better for her.
You could leave both, couldn't you?
And you could do both, yeah. And then the other thing is this rubric. So I have a rubric that I use for my English 1A classes that I created in Turnitin. So you may have one that you've loaded in Canvas. It's not going to convert. Okay, but the rubrics in Turnitin are not difficult to make, and you have a lot of options for it. So to make one, so this one's mine. I can attach it on or off. I can create, all you do, so did you guys catch all that? Oh, let me close it, I'll do it again. So go to the little gear for managing rubrics and click on it. And you probably don't have anything in there because you don't have a rubric associated with your assignment yet. but if you just click on the menu part, create new rubric, or if you have a grading form that you prefer, you can do either one of those. You can upload one. I've never uploaded one, so I'm not sure exactly how it would work. If you have one that you got from had from another class that you used to turn it in, you can download them, but that's probably not the case in here either. And then they've got a ton of rubrics that are already there. So a lot of them are 6th through 12th grade. But like I've got my English 3 rubric on here, I've got my 1A rubric, I've got my 125, my 252. There's a science short answer again, a general short answer. So you've got some options and you can create your own. So when you create it, you just enter the name of your rubric, and then you tell it, you know, this is the criteria you want to use, this is the scale, 1, 2, 3, you can give it points, you can tell it...
This is easier than Canvas.
You can tell it you want qualitative, you can do custom. For some of my assignments, I do a holistic, so I don't want it automatically assigning like a numerical grade. So if they've got, you know, horrible grammar, but they've got fantastic ideas and they're great organization, they just can't write the sentence. I don't want to, you know, give them a totally failing grade because they failed that one category. I can play around with it a little bit. So I actually tell it not to calculate grades, and I'll calculate the grade myself.
So this is kind of going backwards. Quick question. If I don't want to use, if I want to use an external tool and not use the embedded one for Turnitin, all that's available is Turnitin Legacy.
Yes.
And I've heard that doesn't work.
That's the older one.
Oh,
It's just the old, yeah, it's just regular Turnitin.
Oh, okay.
So there's another view, and this is getting what Shushnik asked earlier. This is probably the view that your students are gonna see. And this is the one that you could work with all the time, forever. You can download the current view. So whatever view, see I've got only the blue filter and the purple filter on. I don't have my originality report on.
So students won't see that?
No, they can toggle them on and off themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, the students can toggle them on and off themselves. But if I want to download just this view without the originality report, just my comments, I can download the current view. If I want to, if I just want to they want a receipt maybe to prove that they turn it in, they can download the receipt. And if they lose their file somewhere, you can download the originally submitted file. So I'll tell you when that comes in handy.
And it'll download as Word?
It'll download as whatever they turn it in as. This comes in handy when I look at word count, and if my word count is 250 to 300 words, and maybe my student had 248 words instead of 250, and they insist, I had 250, I promise. And I say, okay, well, let's download your file. And I'll download the file, and it's 240.
Where are you getting your word count?
I clicked on this little eye, and it gave me this
info,
and the word count's right here.
And can students do that as well?
Yeah.
Oh. Is there anywhere in there to, like, I don't want my students to use contractions when they write. Is there any way that they can catch the contractions, or no?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because you could do a search, I don't know.
It's not.
I would do a Control F on the file before they submit it, and just have them do a Control F function.
To catch their.
And that's a find function, and then just put an apostrophe in the search bar.
Very good, I'll tell them to do that.
And then
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
pop up every apostrophe. So they'll have
They
to
have to
make
be
some judgments,
selective, yeah.
but
Because
that's
I've
the way-
literally hit them over the head with a sledgehammer and they still give it to me, and I'm like,
Yeah. I just tell mine, if you want to meet the word count, don't make contractions, cause you get twice the words.
well, there's that point.
And that's usually enough to, okay, so that's all your information. There's another, if I click Turnitin Classic, it's the exact same thing, but in a different view. And this is where, you can play around with some of the settings.
Okay, good.
Instead of those boxes that were purple and you have originality, grade mark, and the grade mark is the one that holds all the purple ones.
How did you choose Turnitin Classic?
Yeah.
Where were you?
Studio is here, and I just went down to the very bottom, it says Turnitin Classic.
You're at the Turnitin site.
And
You're-
this was the,
You're not in Canvas anymore.
yeah, no, I'm not technically in Canvas, but from SpeedGrader, I clicked on
Right.
this, and that brought me to here, and then I just clicked Turnitin Classic.
So when they submit something, the little box pops up
For them.
in your view,
Mhm.
and then that's, okay.
Yeah. That little colored box pops up, that's their report, and they would just, it's one step more than the SpeedGrader. So it's one click past the SpeedGrader.
Do you know when they're not going to support Classic anymore? Do you have a date?
I have not
Haven't heard that.
anything.
So it's at this point that I will see, they'll have 40%, you know,
Yeah.
45%, but it'll be like 40 of them at 1%, because we have some, what they think are clever students, they waste more time trying to pull one sentence from this paper, one sentence from that paper, one sentence from this paper, one sentence from, they will literally do that, and the time that it takes, just put it in your own words, you know, but I'll tell, because I'll catch it.
So
Yeah.
you can play with the filter, this is where you can get the filters.
Mhm.
So I can tell it to exclude quotes, exclude the bibliography, and exclude matches that are less than 4 words. I can play around with this. And when I have a student who turns in an essay and I think that they've done too much quoting, I will actually play with this and I can get an accurate read on exactly how much quoted material they have. So I'll exclude the bibliography and quotes and see what it goes down to. And if it's more than a 10% drop, then we gotta have to talk.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What are the different colors mean?
From the sources.
So pink, what do you mean? From here?
Yeah.
In this case, this
Oh, I
is
see.
Oh,
each
there's
source.
reference the
So-
sources.
Okay.
So the top one was submitted to Fresno City College, the one that's in, I think, this color, yeah, 'cause it's got a 2, was to Norton.com. Number 3 is this color that's someplace else.
But when you see it's a quote, you're okay, right?
Yeah, when I
Because
see it's a quote,
But if it's submitted to Fresno City, that means it might be in some other student's paper.
it would be, so my citation, I tell my students, your works cited page should be all colored. Because if you cited it correctly, then somebody else did too. So that I don't worry about. For Fresno City College, all my students are writing on the same assignment, so you just have to figure out what, you have to judge. It's automatic, but you still have to use some judgment to figure out, okay, what is it that they want? And what are we trying to do and what was the intention of the assignment? So I don't ever tell my students, you have to get your percentage, that 43%, down to a certain level, because that's not my goal. My goal is that they're writing their own work. I know what numbers are alarming to me in different assignments, but
So you're in the classic right now, right?
Yeah.
So is classic the only one that gives you the breakdown of the sources vis-a-vis the percentage? Or can you do that with the newer?
In the studio? Nope, studio doesn't.
Oh,
You
okay,
see the different colors.
okay.
actual sources, like where it came from?
Probably at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I just, I just clicked on the 43.
Oh, okay.
So if I click on the 43, then it brings me here. If I click here, it will say, I get to go one by
And
six.
if it were to print, then it would be like at the bottom, on the next page or something, right?
If it prints, so if I download the current view, it prints me a report, and even in black and white, and it'll show everything that's
So the
there,
numbers.
and it'll show where
Right.
it was submitted. So if I gave a lot of this feedback, and I wanted to make sure that it just printed everything, I'm gonna have to tell Marlon that I'm playing around with his assignment. He's probably wondering why he's getting feedback.
Oh, he'll be notified that
Yeah.
you're,
No, he won't.
Oh, okay.
No, but they knew they turned it in, and they knew it would be graded by what's tomorrow? Wednesday. So I'll just fix it before. So depending on what I have open, so like if I turned the ETS off, then it's not gonna download the ETS comments. If I turn the blue off, it's not gonna download my comments. I could only download my comments. So this one, current view, would only be downloading the one with my comments. Typically, if I have a student who needs the whole thing printed, I turn on all of the filters, and they get one copy of everything.
How did you turn on and off all the filters? You just highlight them?
This little box, so there's a purple one here, the one on top,
Oh, okay.
and then the red one, and the blue one.
Okay.
So if I downloaded this one, it's got everything on it. It's like a bowl of Fruit Loops.
Mm-hmm.
And then any comment that I make will print as well. So all of those preloaded boxes, it prints every single thing. So if there's four missing commas on each page, it'll print the missing comma information 4 times on each page.
And I'm assuming this is all accessible, like I have a student this semester who's blind, this will all show up in readers.
It creates a PDF. So that's a Kevin question.
I believe it would be either from their screen reader, their JAWS reader, would be able to read this document on the screen, or if they actually download the document, then that should be read by their document reader, I would think.
Okay. That's a lot of information. Any questions?
Thank you, that's so good.
No, you wanna get started and start playing around with some settings?
So things like discussion board are not linked, can't link those up with.
I've never tried to do a discussion board. Should we try it?
Trying to get my
You-
students to
Yeah, I'm not sure how you'd
word
get it there.
process in Word before they upload into discussion board, so I get a better quality post.
Oh,
I
you
don't know
have
how
to
you would-
write their response or their post in
Not
Word?
their responses, I haven't taken it that far,
Mhm.
but I'm working on their posts so that I get a little more elevated English
Mhm.
from them.
I'm not sure how you would get a discussion post to turn it in though.
Yeah, I'm guessing it doesn't cross-reference in any way.
Yeah, it would have to be an
Well, what if you
assignment.
do that external?
Yeah, because there is no external tool for discussions,
Right.
so,
That's okay,
yeah, I'm not sure how,
I was just curious.
it'd have to be a separate assignment type thing, have them
Yeah.
copy and paste it into a Word document and then, which kind of defeats the purpose, but.
I don't know, let's try it.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't think so, because you don't have the option to have them turn in
It has to be an
Right.
assignment, right?
Right.
And
To use
Yeah.
the,
That makes sense.
I think it's gonna be an assignment.
so you can make a discussion, could you make a discussion in an assignment actually? You know,
Well, I mean, you could have stages of the process where they submit it first and then.
you can't make a discussion on assignment where other students would see each other's.
Right,
Unless, could you do peer review and use it so they
You could do peer review. Jackie Williams
Could.
uses peer review and Turnitin. I don't typically, I have
I have,
before,
I know you could.
but I do peer review in class.
I teach all
And I
online.
find,
so
and when I
use
teach,
these
well,
tools.
when I teach online,
I haven't done it, but, I mean,
I facilitate peer review a little bit differently.
oh yeah, me too, I don't use Turnitin. They just look at each other's paper and they have a rubric that they use
Yeah.
and apply to it.
Yeah.
They are Turnitin for each other. That doesn't always work, so.
Any other functions you
It doesn't to stop doing.
are curious about? How long it takes me to grade
They
paper?
oh, is it a lot faster? Cause that's, yeah, I would think so,
It's a
because you're
lot
not having to
faster.
write all that stuff or.
And honestly, the rubric is my favorite thing because once I read it and I give my comments, I can just toggle a rubric over and then it tells them exactly why they're in whatever category.
That is good.
And it will show them the entire rubric with where they are highlighted.
Can you share rubrics?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
be-
if I make
I'm gonna
my,
hit you up to share a rubric.
If I make
Cause
one
that's a lot of
public-
work up front. I don't need to, and I'm teaching.
honestly, I
Yeah.
took Michael Roberts' rubric from 10 years ago. And I just kind of worked it as I go.
Okay.
When I find that something's not working, I'll change it a little bit.
Same thing she's teaching.
So where does the score, where is the score?
Right here. So this one says it's out of 100.
But you don't have your rubric connected to the grade.
To the score, no,
To score, okay.
no.
How
You
do you do that in settings?
So if you open this up, when you create your rubric, you tell it the scale
Okay.
and the percentage that you want. So if your criteria is accuracy and you want that to be 50% of yours, you want 50 points for accuracy, you just kind of play around with your
Does
numbers.
it automatically work with a 100-point scale, or can you change?
Actually, this particular assignment is supposed to only be worth 10 points,
Oh, okay.
and Canvas didn't want.
Mm.
Canvas and Turnitin haven't been talking very well on the points.
Ah.
So I've actually,
You don't do it, so you can put your.
this week, I had to manually enter the scores that I did into my gradebook because they did not want to talk.
but they
So there's your con.
But they could see your rubric and what you had sort
The
of entered
students
on your
can see the
rubric,
rubric.
but not points.
They
Just
can
like the different quadrants that you.
So the students can see the rubric, so they can see all of this, and they can see this. So I just scored them all here,
Mm.
and then transfer them all myself to the gradebook.
Oh, they don't cross over.
They did not cross over this week. In the past, they have.
Oh.
I know.
This is them getting better.
Space.
You chose the wrong week to grade that.
I did.
Yeah.
So week.
Well, thankfully, I haven't graded mine yet.
Are you saying that the rubric in Turnitin was talking to the rubric?
No, the
Canvas?
rubrics weren't talking,
The rubric.
but the scores were.
Oh, okay.
But for whatever reason, this week, the scores that I do in Turnitin are not telling my gradebook what the score was.
So if you have a rubric already set up in Canvas,
That's the only place it exists.
that's the only place it exists.
The only way you
So
could
if you
train.
want a rubric and turn it in, you're gonna have to create the rubric and turn it in. It's really not that hard. You could just copy and paste.
You can copy and
different
paste, yeah.
categories over.
This is a really stupid question, but from the student perspective, they will see all these notes in Canvas, or do they have to click over to?
They have to
It's
click that little
Thursday.
colored
Yeah,
box.
I have to click
Yeah,
on
just like I had to click the colored box to get over here, they have to click the colored box.
So
The
then
number
Canvas,
box.
all they'll see is just their grade.
Yeah.
They won't see any comments.
Yeah.
or- Okay.
so one more click.
So it's one more click. But for me, it's totally worth it.
Where does the colored box show up for them in their
In the
grades?
assignment.
Oh, in the
In
assignment.
the
Like,
assignment.
it shows up the same way it showed up when you showed it to
Yeah.
us to them?
Well, we clicked on it in the speed grader.
Yeah,
Oh, speed grader, that's
They
right.
But
don't-
where
they
they
don't- they don't have speed
downloaded
grader.
it, they see that, like that,
see that.
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
This is
so
exactly
that's
how
where
they see
they
it.
can go and.
And they
they'll
just
see
click
it.
on that.
But they don't have speed grader.
No, but
But it's in
They
their
have the
assignments.
percentage, they have the
It
percentage.
gives them a percentage, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
Under grade.
Oh, I see what you're asking.
You mean when they're
Where
looking
is
at,
that
where do
percentage?
they see
yeah,
it?
where do they see it? That's what
I thought it showed up just like that, but maybe not. Should we see the student view then?
So my tutor Jorge is fantastic, and he often will just log in and show the class what it's supposed to look like. But it is in the
Why
assignment.
can't we get student view yet?
Where is he?
Back it says
Wouldn't
student
they
view
go to
and I
their
wondered
grade,
if you
wouldn't the
could get
students go to
in.
their grade book?
It won't, no. They have to go to the assignment.
So when they're looking at their grades, they don't see that little thing?
They see the little colored flag, but like I said, the Canvas gradebook is not talking to Turnitin right now. This week. So the way that we've done it is from the actual assignment,
Oh,
it'll show, so instead of all of this down here, there's a box that says, this is the file that you submitted, and it has their file, and then on the right-hand side, they get that little colored box.
Right.
okay.
And they just click on the colored box, and that takes them.
If you're using the external tool instead of the embedded one, like the legacy, it does show up where they click on the number.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just like it does here.
okay.
But I keep hearing rumors that the external tool
It's on its way out.
is on its way out, which is
Oh.
why I switched over.
Yeah.
And I think that that little gradebook talking mechanism is the,
But on a good day.
on a
would-
good day,
It would show up in their grades.
it'll show up.
Okay.
But either way,
Showed
you
up last
can go to
week.
speed grader and you can do your thing, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for
When will I know that legacy isn't supported?
we'll
Cause I
try-
just transferred my class into a
I'm
Michelle.
keeping track.
Okay.
I'm keeping
Yeah,
track.
I'm not sure they've announced it yet.
They haven't announced it yet. The only thing, actually, Kevin last year said, did you hear about Turnitin? And I was like, wait, no, didn't hear this. And I started having a little panic.
Yeah.
And they usually give you about 6 months once they decide.
Oh, okay.
So,
I've got time to
Yeah.
Usually.
fix it. I mean, I should probably just do it, fix it.
So it cut my grading time down immensely.
Yeah.
And what, 5 years ago, I got super savvy and I was like, I'm gonna grade on my iPad. And so I actually have the Turnitin app on my iPad, and I don't have data on my iPad. When I'm home and with Wi-Fi, I can download my entire class grades, and then I can go somewhere and not have internet and be in the car or wherever and do all of my grading and all of my feedback and do all my quick marks and my rubrics on my iPad, and then when I get back to Wi-Fi, just as soon as I open up the app, it automatically loads them all, and they're there. And that changed my life too, and it got me out of a lot of driving, because I'd be like, no, you have to drive, I got a great school. Yeah.
Well, thank you, gosh, that was good.
So any other questions? I'm here for another 20 minutes and I can, or 10 minutes, 10?
Yeah.
I'll walk you through, help you out. If you find any surprises,